people from yesterday, maybe some new people that didn't attend yesterday. So today's class is going to be integration for fingerprinting for notaries specifically. So this is going to be really good for everybody on how to take those next steps to from learning about fingerprinting, actually performing the service, getting your first clients, and what's going to be most necessary in order to get your first clients. I'm also going to touch a little bit on the marketing piece. I know yesterday there was a lot of there was a lot of want, and there was a lot of need for just people wanting to know about marketing in general, just for any type of service-based business. But I'm really going to harp on marketing for fingerprinting services. It's going to be pretty similar to marketing for notary services. So they're going to go hand in hand, but there's a few things with fingerprinting that you should know when you're marketing, when you're trying to get clients, specifically mobile clients as well, because most people here are going to be mobile, if not everybody. And that's what's going to get you the most amount of money, because mobile is going to be a higher ticket service. So today's course is going to be very, very similarly structured from yesterday. So I'm going to start off, since there was a lot of engagement yesterday. Let me know real quick. I'm just going to ask a quick question. How strong do you feel your marketing is for your business right now? Out of a 1 through 10, how strong do you feel, how confident do you feel in what you're doing right now in marketing for your business and what you could be doing definitely in the future, how much room you have to grow? So we'll get a 1 through 10 just so I can gauge everybody's reaction, what they're looking to do. And then I'll ask the second question, then we'll roll right into it. While I do that, I'm going to pull up my PDF. Yeah, marketing is always tough. Most people that I ask this question to, usually everybody floats around at like a 2 or a 5. So marketing is very difficult to learn. It's something that takes a long time. It took me a long time personally. I started off as a contractor when it came to, just performing marketing services. And now I have a full staff doing it for other companies and other businesses, specifically mobile businesses, mobile fingerprinting businesses, a lot of notaries that are integrated into that. So this is going to be really good to go over. So now, when it comes to integrating fingerprinting into your notary business, it's actually a little bit more simple than you would think, right? So you're going to need materials, obviously, which we went over yesterday. It's going to be a very simple list of things. You're going to need fingerprint cards, you're going to need ink, and you're going to need fingerprint card holders. So I'm going to go over a quick recap of that from yesterday over the materials. You need a fingerprint card. You can get approximately, a pack of 50 of those on Amazon for, I believe it's like $20. You're going to need ink for the people that you're going to be rolling, which you can get on Amazon as well for like $20. And then you're going to need a card holder, which is going to be part of the last bit of the piece of what you're really going to need. You don't definitely need, this is not super necessary, but it's going to make your life 1,000 times easier. So that is what you're going to need. Just to recap on what today's class is going to be, you're definitely going to need materials. And then the next thing is you're going to need marketing, because with fingerprinting, specifically fingerprinting, that's all you're really going to need, because you don't need any other type of permit or license or any go ahead by the state or the federal government, nothing. You just need the materials, you need the education, and you got to be ready to go. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to dive right into this. And I know there's a few people that just joined in, so I'm going to give them a second to get their microphones and their audio all set, and then we'll go right into it. All right, so fingerprinting integration for notaries. We're going to learn exactly how to integrate this service into your notary business. Now, if you were in the class yesterday, you know that we went over pretty much A through Z about fingerprinting. Got a lot of good questions in. We're going to be doing the same thing today. So a little background on me for anybody that wasn't in the class yesterday. So I'm the marketing director for PrintScan being a national fingerprinting company, quickly growing into the top #1 fingerprinting company in the US right now, probably floating around number 2 or 3, but I hold that role as the marketing director. It's a lot of fun. I have a good staff behind me. I have a lot of resources. So I'm able to get a good pulse on the market for just fingerprinting in general. So this is definitely what I love to do. This is going to be my sweet spot in today's class. I'm also the owner of a company called Bump It Marketing. Primarily do web design, paid advertising, and search engine optimization. I've been doing that for approximately 4 years now. I've had that company. And again, I have a really great staff behind me. They do most of the legwork. I'm kind of just the architect and the face of the business now. So it's very fun for me to, meet all these people that are building fingerprinting business, because we do primarily work with just fingerprinting businesses now. That's kind of our niche. It's been a lot of fun, meeting these people all over the United States, helping them build a fingerprinting business and learning exactly what needs to be done in order to market it. I was also a fingerprinting technician for 7 years. So even before I was at PrintScan, I was fingerprinting people, civilians. I was doing ink fingerprinting. I was doing live scan fingerprinting primarily after that for commercial background check reasons, FBI background checks. Was also able to meet a lot of cool people. One thing I touched on in yesterday's class that a lot of people kind of perked up a little bit is I've actually met a lot of celebrities doing this service. So not me personally, but I know another mobile tech that, fingerprinted 50 Cent, Ashanti. They all live out here in Long Island. So that's where I was doing the mobile fingerprinting. Warren Buffett down in Manhattan. He's a very, very popular investor, probably the most popular, most successful one in the world. Jimmy Buffett, so the guy from Margaritaville, who opens up all those restaurants now. It's something a little cool that I like to slide in there sometimes, because fingerprinting it's not something that just regular Joes need every day. It's something that everybody needs if the use case comes up for it. And with this business specifically, if you're going to be a mobile fingerprinting technician, you're going to attract those people that do not want to go to a location to get fingerprinted, that are high net worth individuals and do not have time maybe to visit a location and want somebody to come to them. So you're going to meet a lot of interesting people. So that's something that I wanted to throw in there, that I threw in yesterday, that I kind of waited till the end and everybody kind of got a little excited and it was something cool, but I want to throw that in there. And then lastly, I'm also a detective in New York. So I'll leave the department out of it to be a little bit anonymous, because I don't usually tell people about that side of work, but because this is kind of like an intimate setting, and you guys are going to be here for, an hour and a half learning about this stuff, I thought I'd throw that in there as well. So I am qualified to do fingerprinting for criminal purposes, know exactly where the prints go, have worked closely with the FBI in the department that I'm in now. What I'm doing now as a detective is not precinct level investigations. It's more along the lines of a federal joint task force. So I know a lot about identity-based background checks, a lot about what actually gets up to the state, what gets missed by the FBI, what gets missed by the state, and why each state does the background check process in the way that they do. So a little background on myself. Today's class structure, 30-minute informational. That's what we're going to get into right after this. 15-minute of examples. So we're going to go in. I'm going to show you some partners that we already have that we service for marketing services for fingerprinting. I'm also going to show you what a good Google My Business looks like to set up, how to set it up, and we'll even do a quick one over the screen so that you guys can look back on this when you're integrating this into your Google My Business or your website and show you exactly what you need to do. And then a 45-minute Q&A at the end. This is going to be the most important part, right? This is going to be super cool because I'm going to be able to answer everybody's specific questions pretty much in great detail. And hopefully if one person has a question, it answers somebody else's question that they didn't even think about asking. So that's why I do like to do the Q&A. Now, as far as questions are concerned, we will be taking questions after the 30-minute informational, because a lot of the things I go in this PDF that I'm going to show you may answer your question already, right? But if you do have a question, I'm going to ask that you send it into the chat at the end of that 30 minutes and after those 15 minutes of examples. So that this way I'm going to start from top to bottom, read them all through, and then we'll do that as like a whole portion of the course. So I do see somebody here in the chat. Yes. Yep. Don't worry. I'll get to that one right as soon as we finish both the 30-minute and then the 15 minutes. So that's how the class structure is going to go. Now, in the class, We're going to learn what you can advertise, who to advertise to, how to advertise it, how to do competitive research, and then what assets you need in order to start doing it right away. So that's going to be things like a website, Google My Business. It's a lot easier to set up as you would think. And you could do this for zero cost if you're trying to like bootstrap this and get this off the ground running and don't want to pay anybody to do it. It's very, very simple to do yourself, and we're going to walk you through it today. So what you can advertise for fingerprinting, right? Now, this is going to be specifically for ink starting out. You could do this for live scan as well. But for ink, most people think that if you're going to be providing an ink fingerprinting service, or you're going to be taking people's prints on these cards and handing over the cards, a lot of people think that the only thing that they could advertise is ink fingerprinting, right? So it's actually incorrect. And I'll tell you why. Because when you're a customer, when you're a client, and somebody tells you, like, let's say a court, or let's say some type of agency where you're trying to get a license from, they say you need to go get fingerprinted. That's usually what they say, right? And they leave it off at that. So that person that knows they need to get fingerprinted, they know they need to get fingerprinted for XYZ reason, but they don't know it's ink fingerprinting. Maybe it's from the FBI, maybe it's from FINRA, maybe it's for the state of Tennessee and they live in Florida, XYZ, maybe they live in New York, maybe they have to go to Tennessee. That's what they're going to know. They're not going to know that they need a fingerprint card. They're not going to know that they need a mobile tech. They're not going to know any of these things, which is why your advertising is so important. So you can advertise ink fingerprinting, FBI fingerprinting, FINRA card fingerprinting, out of state, in state, NFA card, and SF87 card fingerprinting. It's all the same service. You're taking the person's prints, you're capturing them on a card, and you're handing them the card afterwards. The reason why we label that one specific service as 6 different things is because you don't know what's in the customer's mind when they're typing into Google. So if I go into Google right now and I type in, I'm just going to type in FBI fingerprinting. You know, I'm going to be like, oh, I know I need a background check. Yeah, I got to get a card done or something like that. You know, I'm typing in FBI fingerprinting. Now, print scans, Google My Business profiles, they show up here number 1 because it's listed in one of the services. It's also like the only competition in the area, to be quite honestly, to be fair. So it's not a good example for me. It's just, this is my local area for what I can go off of. But, you know, you're going to get a bunch of results here. And if they're going to click onto the print scan website, they're going to see that we do offer FBI fingerprinting and that you can get an FBI background check by getting a card done and sending the card into the FBI, and then they'll send you your background check report in the mail. Typically it comes affixed with like an application, you know, so on and so forth. But that person may or may not type in FBI fingerprinting. They may not type in ink fingerprinting. They might not type in, you know, fingerprint card service or something like that. That's why you need to run the gambit on your advertising of every single service under the sun, because at the end of the day, you are doing the exact same thing, but you need to capture that customer's attention. And this is the biggest bottleneck that I see when people first start out, is they only really advertise for ink fingerprinting, and they're only getting the people that are literally typing in ink fingerprinting. You're going to get a lot more hits if you're advertising for these other services, because it's kind of the same thing. Now, I'm going to touch on these services again in case you weren't in yesterday's class about what these are. Ink fingerprinting, very simple. Fingerprints on an ink card, hand it to the customer, charge them typically, you know, $35 to $50 with 2 cards, plus your mobile fee. So if this person lives an hour away, you're probably going to be charging, you know, $350. That's just give or take what I would charge right away, maybe even $400. That's going to be up to you. There's no limit with this. It's not governed by the state where how much you could charge per mile or per hour or per minute. You could charge, quite honestly, whatever you want, as long as it's ethical and as long as the person pays. So FBI fingerprinting, again, for ink specific purposes only. It's going to be somebody getting fingerprinted on a card, sending it into the FBI themselves, and then the FBI sending them a background check report. But again, you as the business owner, just providing that card service, that's what you're going to be doing. That's the only thing that you're required to do. FINRA card fingerprinting, that is if they need a background check done by FINRA. FINRA is the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. They they run a whole bunch of operations, but really what they do is they kind of oversee the entire financial markets, financial businesses inside the United States and outside. Anybody that works in that sector is in an employment scenario. They need a background check done by them once per year. FINRA does have their own specific cards that you can buy. If you just Google them, you can buy them straight from the FINRA website. Or usually what they do is they accept a blank FD258 card. They just slap on a barcode at the bottom. Both is totally fine. But again, your service just going to be capturing those prints, putting on the card. A FINRA card looks exactly like an FD258 that we went over in yesterday's class. And that is really the general fingerprint card that's accepted everywhere. Out of state fingerprinting, this is going to be very important. And I harped on this a little bit yesterday, but I'm going to harp on it more today because ink fingerprinting services are going to be very, very popular for out of state reasons. Specifically because if you live in a state that really only does electronic background checks for in-state purposes. So if somebody's going to be a nurse and they just graduated nursing school, they need to go get their license, their RN license, they're going to go get fingerprinted by the company that has the contract within that state, right? It's all electronic. These are for states that are, a little bit more up with the times, up with the technology. So states like these that come off the top of my head is going to be New York, New Jersey, Michigan. They do still do ink fingerprinting, but it's primarily going to be for out-of-state purposes. That's going to be huge. As well as SBI and FINRA, that's going to be big for ink fingerprinting as well. But out-of-state is really going to be super popular. Out-of-state and FBI background check reports and people just getting cards for, different reasons. It's going to be your bread and butter with this business. That's what you're going to see probably about like 80% of the time. The other 20% are going to be like weird, people just needing services for an application, court mandate or something like that. But out of state, so important. If you have Google My Business, definitely add that as a label, as a service, because somebody's going to see that. Their eyes are going to light up and they say, that's exactly what I need. They're not going to call anybody else. They're going to call you, right? And then NFA cards and SF87 cards, these are pretty rare, but you will get them. So an NFA card is used for, firearms, concealed carry permits. You won't have to buy this. If you're going to be doing an NFA card fingerprinting session, the client's probably going to come with their own card. So you don't have to worry about anything like that. Same thing with the SF87 card. The SF87 card is for anybody that's looking to get government clearance. They work on military bases. They're a government contractor. These are pretty rare as well. You're not going to have to buy these. They're almost all the time going to have them with them. And if they don't have them with them, they're going to have to contact the person or the agency that required them to do the background check because they're supposed to provide them with it. So just a little caveat, because we get a lot of confusion with what you can advertise and what the service actually is and how to do it. Now, who to advertise to? This is going to be super important because some of these are going to make you a lot of money, right? This one in particular right here, FINRA brokers, huge. Real estate schools, depending on what state you live in, I'll go over that as well, huge. And then businesses getting corporate contracts, also very big, going to make you a lot of money. The general public is going to be your bread and butter, right? So that's anybody, John Doe, Jane Doe, whoever, that just types in fingerprinting near me, right? This is going to be 80% of your clients right here, right? Because they're going to be seeing that Google My Business, seeing that website, getting you from a referral, getting you from wherever, and they're going to use you as your service. That's going to be like 80% of the people. However, there is going to be a smaller portion of people that call you that are going to be interested in other things. And this is who you should be advertising to as well. This is what you should have listed on your description of Google My Business. This is what you should always keep in the back of your mind because this is what's going to make you the most money right here. And this is going to be, I'm going to sum all these up, real estate schools, firearm classes, FINRA, and regular businesses, to just a generalized term of business to business service as opposed to business to consumer. So when you're advertising to the general public, you're advertising a business to consumer service. You are the business, you are the business owner. You're advertising to a consumer and you're doing one single appointment for one single person, right? Again, going to be your bread and butter. That's going to pay the bills. Now, what's going to be more interesting is when another business owner comes to you and says, I have 5 employees that come on every month as volunteers, or 5 employees that need background checks, or they need FINRA checks every year, whatever, type in whatever scenario that you want. You're going to get those phone calls, you're going to get those emails, and they're very exciting. And you're going to get them more if you advertise this correctly and you say it correctly on your website. And I'm going to show you examples of this, right? So I'm going to go over a few common examples. Real estate schools, huge. Real estate schools are huge, especially now in this market where, you know, the Fed dropped interest rates to zero basically, and people are doing refis like crazy, right? I'm sure everybody here is, you know, doing refis. I've seen them gone up, go down. Big boom with refis, right? Eventually it's going to go down. It's going to, you know, fizzle out a little bit. But people who want to sell real estate, and maybe somebody here does sell real estate, right? You are going to have to take a course. You're going to have to get licensed and accredited in that state to sell real estate. Now, for real estate agents and just brokerages that are very popular, that are doing well, they're going to want to branch out to other states. Now, this is where that out-of-state fingerprinting service comes into play right here, out-of-state fingerprinting. Because if you are a real estate agent and you just finished a real estate school and you don't want to just be licensed and accredited to sell real estate inside of, you know, Tennessee, you want to do it in Tennessee, New York, Florida, Arizona, Nevada. You want to have a whole bunch of states, right? Guess what you're going to need? You are going to need a fingerprint card for each one of those states, 2 actually specifically, and you're going to have to send them to the state with its own application, right? So think about a real estate school or a class, even a remote or not remote, whatever it is. They're going to have 30, 40, 50 students, whatever it is. And at the end of that class, they're looking to get their accreditation. And if it's in-state, they're probably just going to do the in-state background check. But you can advertise that anybody who wants to get accredited out of state, you can provide their ink fingerprinting services. They may even have somebody come to the class at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, at the end of the actual course, and advertise, say, hey, listen, we could take your fingerprint card right here, right now, for a small fee for this person that came in as a contractor. And you'll be able to take those cards and send them out wherever you like so that you can get accredited in whatever state you want to get accredited in, right? This is huge. We saw a lot of success with this probably like 3 or maybe 2 years ago at PrintScan. We got a lot of inquiries from real estate schools all over the United States, had no idea what was going on, and I found out that this was the reason. So I'm happy to share this kind of like hidden gem of like a business to business contract that you can get. Because I'll tell you right now, nobody offers fingerprinting really to begin with, right? So congratulations, you're here. You're going to be doing it. You have a niche business already. You're going to add on another service that's even more niche, right? This is a niche service within a niche business. So again, nobody knows about it. That's a super valuable one right there. I mean, quite honestly, you can, if you have a good real estate school near you, or you make some good relationships with this, you can make a whole business off just this a couple of times a year and be done with it, right? Firearms classes are going to be very similar, but this is going to be state specific because all the laws, concealed carry laws, and who can own a handgun or who can own just a regular firearm in general, and every state is going to be different. New York, very, very strict. Places like Arizona, they need a fingerprint clearance card, or they need some type of fingerprinting appointment, some type of background check in order to get a concealed carry permit. Florida, etc. States like that. Firearms classes for people that are looking to apply and get their concealed carry permit. A lot of these classes do have a fingerprinting tech come at the end of the class in order to take that fingerprint card from them. This is going to be a hit or miss. We've seen some states and some firearms classes that do it, some that don't, but it doesn't hurt to go out there and advertise them. It doesn't hurt to look them up in your area and just call all of them. You can quite honestly call all of them and cold call these, firearms classes, these instructors, probably 10 of them in 1 hour. And I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be hard to close them, because if they need the service, they're just going to say, yeah, sure, let me get your number, and that's branching out your network, branching out your business to business network. Going to be very profitable for you. Now, FINRA brokers. I'm going to spend some time on FINRA brokers right now, because this is very, very valuable, right? So I'm going to pop into a tab here. And I'm going to type in FINRA, just so that everybody can get like a general idea of what FINRA is and what they do. Maybe you know this already, but again, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. It is a corporation inside the US that regulates the members of brokerage firms and exchange markets. So you can think of companies like Charles Schwab, companies like, any type of investment companies, anybody that's handling other people's money, companies' money, investments in stocks, portfolios, the crypto market. This is going to be huge right now. If we take a company like Robinhood, right? I'm going to give a great example. Everybody knows the popular trading app Robinhood. Almost every single employee that works for Robinhood needs a background check done once per year, right? They need them done once per year. And that's a great opportunity because you as the business owner, you now have a company that's maybe headquartered near you, or maybe you have a FINRA broker firm near you. Maybe you don't, you have to look it up. And I'm going to show you how to look it up in a second. But all those employees need background checks every year. Right now, what's happening is the HR manager or the HR director within that company has everybody on a schedule every year. And they say, okay, Matt, Gene, and John have to get fingerprinted in March by FINRA. Okay, that's what I know they have to do. And then they're going to look at the board. And they're going to say these 7 people have to get fingerprinted in June. These 8 people have to be fingerprinted in July. And it's quite honestly, it's a mess for them, right? If you find these people and you say, listen, I'm your solution. Anytime you need somebody to get fingerprinted, you call me. I'll come straight to you. You call me, you let me know where they are. If they're working remote, I'll go straight to them. Now, instead of charging the actual person for this service, you're going to charge the business. And typically it can be on like a retainer-based model, which is great because it's going to give you recurring revenue. And as long as you kind of charge, nothing more than a few $1,000s per month, obviously, unless it's a huge company, you're going to be able to get away with some months only fingerprinting 1 person or 0 people, right? Because if you work up a retainer model where you are that contractor for that business and they just pay you whatever, $700 a month, and you are the fingerprinting person, 1 month you might have to fingerprint 30 people. Might have to do it, and you're kind of like going to break even, but there might be a few months where you fingerprint nobody and you're just grabbing in recurring revenue. That is one of the models that we see a partner do right now. They're very successful with it, right? As long as you charge, a decent amount, that business is going to see that expense coming out every month. They're going to tally it up through every quarter when they do their earnings, and they're going to say, all right, we only paid a few $1,000s on, this fingerprinting contractor. We can continue to pay that. So that's going to be the model, right? And this is how you're going to be able to look up if there's a FINRA broker firm near you, right? So you're going to look up broker check, go into Google and just type in broker check. This is the FINRA website right here. Click on this link, brokercheck.finra.org, and you type in your zip code. Very, very simple. I'm going to type in mine. Now you all know where I live, or at least what town I live in. So you're going to see here that there are 6,811 results. And these are all people, right? So you're going to have to refine these results by companies. I'm looking up an individual right now. You can click firm up here and do the exact same thing. But all those people that you just saw, those are all customers. All of them are customers, right? Which is crazy. You literally have your customers in an Excel spreadsheet, basically, that you can just look up for FINRA fingerprinting purposes only, right? Now I looked up my zip code again, and 598 results for businesses, right? And these are businesses that are right within, like literally right within my little market, like my little town, right? And you can go on LinkedIn. You can see how many employees they have. You can see how many individuals are within this firm. This is the craziest thing you could ever do when you start a fingerprinting business. I'm telling you right now, I know about a month and a half ago, I didn't harp on this too much, but we really saw a lot of traction with this once we started going this route with our partners. You could build a whole business off of this, right? I can't even explain to you how long I thought about not giving this information to other businesses, because this is something that took a long time for PrintScan to figure out. We did not know this, and we do this nationwide now, and we give this to our partners, and people are making an absolute killing on it, absolute killing. So If you're going to pay attention for any of this, this is the part to pay attention with. You can fall asleep for the rest of it if you want. But this is super, super important because this can quite honestly make you a lot of money, right? And we see it making people a lot of money. Look at how many pages I'm flipping through right now. Quick caveat. Now, a lot of these firms, a lot of these people, they're already getting background checks done, right? They already are. So what you have to come to them with is an angle that nobody else is coming to them with. A lot of them are getting electronic fingerprinting background checks done. A lot of them are using live scan as their service to do this. So you may have to weed through, you may get a lot of rejections, right? Saying like, no, we already have a vendor, or no, we already do live scan, or oh, we only do electronic, right? That's okay. You can do this electronically, you can. It is more of a cost. We'll get into that at the end. You do have to get a live scan machine, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to talk about that later on in the course, but you can absolutely pitch these firms ink fingerprinting on a retainer-based model, and it can be right in your area. So this is something that I wanted to harp on. Brokercheck.finra.org. I will leave this tab up because we will go over it at the end, but this is super, super, super important. Now, FINRA brokers, I know I went on a tangent there, but very, very important. Businesses in general is going to be another one that you can advertise to, right? And I know I just got a whole bunch of chats in here. Who else is searching the site now? Jen, yeah, boom, Gem has been dropped. Yep, yeah, I told you guys this is crazy. That's one I was really excited about to drop. So I'm glad everybody got a lot of value from that. And I did not make a YouTube video on that specifically because I did not want, I've been going through it in my head, honestly, whether I'm going to make a YouTube video or not, because it is like, it's information that if you had it, it's the keys to unlock it is just, it's crazy. So, congratulations for being in Notary Nerds University and getting access to it. So. And thank Monica for even reaching out to me to do this class, because otherwise I would have had no idea, right? I would have never known about this, but I'm glad to give the information. So businesses, this is going to be another part of your business for business to business transactions. Now, this is where you're going to have a little bit of trouble advertising to this, because a lot of businesses don't require their employees to get background checks. They just, they don't do it, or they have no idea. They're going to have no idea what you're talking about. Fingerprinting, I never knew, et cetera. You're going to get those. That's why I said it's going to be important to kind of get used to rejection. Because if you ask 1,000 people if they need your services, 950 of them are going to say no, 50 of them are going to say yes, and 25 of them are going to actually pay you for the service, right? But if you do that and you get 25 people to pay you for the service and they're on some type of monthly recurring revenue structure, congratulations, you have yourself a 6-figure business, So this is going to be super important. Now, businesses that you can reach out to, that you can advertise to, typically it's going to be any type of nonprofit organization, anybody that's federally regulated, state regulated, anybody that does not need a state background check requirement. So an easy way to do this is to just think of businesses with a lot of employees in your area, right? Or think of businesses in your area in general. And if you think that maybe their position requires a background check, just call them and ask. And call them and say, hey, maybe you're interested in being employed there. And say, hey, listen, do you do a background check in order to get employed there? If so, what does that background check look like, right? And as you do this to 10, 20, 30 businesses, you're going to find a pattern. You're going to say, oh, wow, there's a lot of, let's give this example. There's a lot of homeless shelters in the city right next to me. And I called a few of these and they're popping up everywhere, and they're federally regulated, and they're also a nonprofit and they get federal grant money, right? They are hiring a lot of people because the social program within the federal government is exploding. They're adding more revenue to it. They're adding more, they're allocating more money to it. So they're going to be hiring more volunteers, more resources. They're bringing on 200 volunteers within the next 3 months. Guess what? They all need to be fingerprinted, right? Now, they may or may not want to choose live scan, which is why we're going to touch on that at the end. But pitch them an ink fingerprinting service. Go there, hire somebody to do it for you. Train them, bring them through the course. Tell them to watch YouTube videos. Tell them to practice on yourself. Be comfortable with having an employee do this on a part-time basis. Get a contractor to do it. Get a family friend to do it. Get anybody to do it, right? If you don't want to do it yourself and you want to kind of make the profits off of somebody else while they're making money as well. It works for everybody. But if you have somebody contact, 100 businesses that you think would need a background check for an employee, you might get 20, right, that actually do need background checks, right? And out of those 20, you might get 5 that are actually going to use your service. But those 5 that are going to use your service, just like FINRA brokers, they are going to be able to pay you a decent amount of money per month for you to be their contractor for fingerprinting. And this is where all of the big money is made in fingerprinting. Everybody wants to start fingerprinting, just the general public and all willy-nilly and everything. That's great. This is where you make a lot of money off of fingerprinting. This is where PrintScan grew from a 1-person operation to, a 60-person operation to now coming to about 100, 110 people nationwide. It's growing very quickly. This is what allowed us to do that. And I'll give you a quick background story on just PrintScan in general. So PrintScan was owned, and it still is owned, by the president and CEO called Tom Van Skyler. So he was a New York City police officer. He started doing fingerprinting for FINRA brokers in downtown Manhattan on his days off. He was a hustler. He worked 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. In the city as a cop. And in the morning, from 9 to 2, he was out there fingerprinting people on ink cards, very wealthy people. He was doing these mobile appointments. He was taking, $400 or $500 for people that are very wealthy, have no time, want them to come to him, or wanted him to come to them. $400 or $500 per appointment. He was making more money doing that than he was as a cop. And the business kind of grew slowly during his entire career because he's trying to juggle both at the same time. Now, in 2016 or 17, he ended up retiring from the police force, started diving deep into business-to-business services for PrintScan, very deep into creating their own software, their own hardware, beginning this partner network, and the business has been shooting up exponentially every year after that, right? So this is what allowed PrintScan to do that, this business-to-business service right here. Business to consumer is how you're going to start. It's how you're going to build your brand. It's how you're going to build your authority. It's how you
pickles on your burger. I got pickles and that's it.
I think somebody has to go on mute. Sorry. That business to consumer is how you're going to build your brand. It's how you're going to get reviews. It's how you're going to establish yourself and be confident in doing the service. It's how you're going to reinvest the funds in a live scan device. It's how you're going to really build the business. Business to business contracts and relationships and those services is how you're going to expand exponentially, grow, set yourself out from the pack. That's how you're going to be the trusted brand in your entire state, right? If you want to take it that far, that's what's going to be able to give you the freedom to act as more of like a CEO of your business, as opposed to just a contractor. You won't be trading your time anymore for money. You'll be trading other people's time for money. And those other people's time that you'll be using will be your employees. Those employees will be very happy because they're in a business that's actually quite honestly fun to do. You meet a lot of cool people and you'll be able to grow and expand from there. So it's pretty cool. This is so important. These two right here, FINRA brokers and businesses, so important. Wanted to harp on that. Wanted to spend a lot of time on that. That's who you can advertise to, right? Now, I'm actually going to take a quick intermission and ask you guys, give me any questions. What's going through your head right now just with that? Because I know that was like a big bombshell to drop on you with the business to business service. Throw me some questions in the chat while it's fresh in your mind so that once I finish this section, I can scroll back, right? And I'm going to read a few of them now, but I know a lot of people are probably, the wheels are turning. I can see the smoke coming out of everybody's ears. They're like, oh, everybody's thinking like, oh, how much money can I make, right? Which we're going to talk about. But I want all the questions to go in the chat if you do have one real quick so that, first of all, you don't forget the question. And second of all, I can scroll back to it at the end of this so that we can go over that. So let's see. I'm going to check my place real quick. Let's see. Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll scroll through this right afterwards. If anybody has questions from here on out, send it over in the chat and I'll get to them right after this because we're getting to the part where we're going to go over examples. I'm going to show you some partners and show you what it should look like and how to get started and how to do it, as well as share some resources. And then we're going to go into Q&A in a little bit. So how to advertise, right? Let me see. We got a few questions. Okay, perfect. Yep, I'll get into those right after this, guys. Thank you very much for that. So how to advertise, right? So there's going to be three things to bootstrap your business to start advertising, right? And you can kind of hit the throttle a little bit and start slow, or you can jam that thing to the floor and just be busy as you want to be, right? You really can, and it doesn't matter. You could do this in any market. It's kind of based off your population. If you have only if out of 100 square miles from where you live, if you live in the boonies and you only have a few thousand people, you are going to be limited, as opposed to somebody who lives in like the heart of Manhattan or the heart of Houston or something like that. You will, but because this is based off of population. But these three things right here are going to be what drives all the growth for your business. This is what's going to get you results. Now, I want to talk about social media and Facebook advertising, all these things, because that's what most people think about when they come to thinking about like marketing their business. Don't get me wrong. Social media, great. Facebook, great. YouTube, I built my whole business on YouTube, basically, as you guys can see. And I don't even have that many subscribers because it's a very niche market, right? But for fingerprinting in general, the things that you should be focusing on are a Google My Business and a website. That is it. Start with that. Once you start making money, you can worry about all the other stuff. A Google My Business and a website are going to be the things that generate you results right away. Do not focus on, don't even make a Facebook page for your business until you do a Google My Business and a website and you start taking appointments. Because from what we've seen from more than 25 partners that we service now on a monthly basis, the Google My Business and the website is what generates all of the results. 80% of the results, I'm telling you right now, come from these two assets. Now, if you want to add fuel to the fire and you want to just dump gasoline on that and turn things up a notch, then we're going to talk about Google Ads. And I'm going to actually sign in to Google Ads and show you an example of what we're doing for a current partner so that you're going to see no funny business. You're going to see exactly what we do, right? But Google Ads in a very specific way is what's going to throw fuel on the fire and make you as busy as you want to be. If you want your phone ringing 5, 6, 7 times a day for fingerprinting services, you can make it happen, right? And we're going to show you how to do it. But these two things right here, Google My Business website, absolutely essential, right? Google My Business more than a website. Do this first before a website. That's going to be the progression. And then Google Ads, if you want to exponentially grow as fast as you want, if you have money to spend. And contrary to popular belief, you really don't need that much, which is why I'm going to show you. Now, again, I'm going to go, obviously website, Google My Business. Going to show you some examples. We're going to do competitor research right now real quick so that I can dive into the live examples of a website in Google My Business. I'm going to show you how to look up your competitors in your area. Pretty easy, pretty simple. I'm going to show you how a few things to kind of look for. And now we're going to go over some examples. So I'm going to pop into Google and fingerprinting Tempe right here, Tempe, Arizona. If anybody here is in Arizona, congratulations. I'm using your city as an example, but we're going to see here that we have Arizona Live Scan Fingerprinting Network. This is a current partner of ours as well. They just opened this Google My Business probably like 3 weeks ago. So it's just fresh. It just got verified. It's already ranking for the keyword of fingerprinting Tempe. So pat on, well, really, that's my staff. That's not me. I didn't do that. That's all my staff. Can't take any credit for that. But we're able to do this for most fingerprinting businesses, get them on the top of the page, even though they're brand new. But to go off the competitors, 911, OCC Med, Tempe Clinic, they are a fingerprinting service there. So I'm going to go over and just view all these competitors real quick. So what you want to do is you want to type in fingerprinting in the city near you. And this is a city with some decent competition, I'm going to say. So I like to use this as an example. If you look this up in your area, you might have nobody, right? Which is going to be even greater. But if you have competition like this, that's okay, because I'm going to tell you what you have to do to kind of stand out, right? So this profile right here, it is an actual office space. People can visit the office to get fingerprinted. But if you are a mobile fingerprinting technician and you're going to be mobile only, you should put mobile fingerprinting in your title. Now, quick caveat with that. Google guidelines says whatever is in your title needs to be whatever your business name is, right? That's very important, because I'm going to tell you right now, technically, Google could suspend this profile right here, because I have Arizona Print Scan. That's the name of the business. It's a franchise business. Actually, it's owned by somebody else, not Print Scan itself. Just to be totally transparent, but we put here Fingerprinting Tempe, which is kind of against the guidelines, but we're only going to have this here for probably about a month in order to ramp up, get a lot of reviews, and then we're going to take it off, right? So that's kind of like our little cheat code. Shush, nobody tell Google, please. If anybody here works for Google, please don't, rat on us. But our partners got to make a living, so we got to generate results for them, and it's honestly not a big deal. If you look, everybody does this, right? So 911 OCC Med, I guarantee you Tempe Clinic is not in their business name. So everybody does this. So it's okay. You're not really going to get suspended, but just know that it is technically against guidelines, but little cheat code for you right there. That works with any service too, by the way. However, your competitors right here, the biggest things that's going to set you apart from your competitors is going to be your title, right? So what your business name is, and then a quick keyword on what you do, that's going to set you apart. So if you have a brand name where it's going to be like, let's just say Sinotech, right? That's a company out in Germany, just using it as a reference. Sinotech dash mobile fingerprinting Phoenix, something like that, right? It's going to help you get off the ground and running pretty quickly. It's going to set you apart from the competition because people are going to see that profile and they're going to see that you do mobile fingerprinting. Those are the people that you want to attract. That's what you're going to put in your title, right? Then some reviews, get some family and friends to put some reviews. If you have a brand new Google My Business, don't tell them to do this all at once. If your family or friends live outside of the state, don't tell them to make a review because Google is going to see the IP address of who made that review, and they may or may not trash the review, right? So just be careful with that. But family and friends giving reviews to your business is totally okay, not against the guidelines. You can do that. Just don't spam this. Obviously, you're going to want to get reviews from customers that you actually service, but you need to get off the ground and running somehow. That's how you should be doing it. But this other competition that we're going to look through, you can click on their website, take a look at their website. This is an older website for sure. This is something that's outdated. So, they haven't put any money into this. This is actually a very good business too, Arizona Live Scan. They do very well. Another thing that I would definitely do is call them, right? And make pretend that you are a customer. See what their customer service is like. See what services they offer. See how much they charge, right? So that you can get a pulse on the market of what's going on around you. And you can kind of take that information and twist it into your own model, right? Because starting off, you're going to have no idea what to do, right? So just call the closest business to you. And guess what? If you have no competition in your area, you can make up whatever it is you want. You can make up whatever price, whatever guidelines, whatever rules, because you are the only game in town, right? But if you do have competitors, you can get some information from their website, call them, act as like a customer, kind of like a secret shopper would at a grocery store or something like that. Use that information to kind of base your own business off of that. Those are two things that you're going to want to do. To do that, type in fingerprinting your city or just type in fingerprinting near me. It's going to show up a bunch of those businesses there. Now, how to differentiate between who's a fingerprinting business and who just does fingerprinting, right? This business right here, I guarantee you they're not a fully fledged fingerprinting business. They just do fingerprinting, right? These businesses here, Sign to Go mobile fingerprinting. This is probably a mobile notary. And they probably saw one of my videos maybe and decided to open up a mobile fingerprint business. Good on them. They're probably going to do very well. Looks like they're pretty new, but they're definitely going to be kicking off soon. Community Wellness and Safety of Arizona, they probably just offer it as a service. I guarantee you they're not a fingerprinting company. So that's another thing that you have to differentiate between yourself and your competition is, are they really competition or do they just advertise fingerprinting services kind of willy-nilly, right? So that's how you're going to do your competition, your competitor research. Now, what you also want to do is type in what county you live in. So I live in Suffolk County. And type in population right afterwards, right? Because your county or your surrounding area of approximately 30 to 40 miles is what's going to be your market cap. I live in a very highly populated suburb, very popular, just outside of New York City. So I have a large market cap of just under 1.5 million people. That's going to be a large majority. That's going to be a lot of potential customers, right? What we see is that approximately a third of the people that live in your county will need to be fingerprinting at some point during like a 1 to 3 year period. And those are vague numbers, right? Because it's so dependent on location, so dependent on, is there a military base by you? Is there a government country? All that stuff really, there's a lot of variables with it. But general rule of thumb, whatever the population in your market cap is, a third of those people will need to be fingerprinted within 1 to 3 years. That's what your market cap is going to be. So quite honestly, you could do this for almost any city, any suburb within the US. You're going to be able to make a very viable 6-figure business with this. If you live somewhere that's very remote, you can still make a good side income by traveling a lot and, advertising this to people who live there or live outside of it and do mobile fingerprinting specifically. So that's how you're going to do your competitor research. Now I'm going to show you a few examples of what a good fingerprinting business is going to look like. Now, this gentleman I absolutely love to use. He is one of our best clients, Bayou City Operations, just outside of Houston. If you live near Houston, give Brandon Edwards a ring. He gave us a great testimonial as well. He is looking to partner with people. He is looking to expand. So if you live anywhere near him, you're looking to do this, give him a call. He's a great guy. But this is what his Google My Business is going to look like. Obviously, a lot of good reviews, all 5 stars. He operates his business right. We reach out to a lot of people to do reviews for him, to give him 5 stars. So people love him. Now, your Google My Business is going to want to look all thoroughly filled out, right? And I'm going to show you because we have a bunch of them in here. So I'm going to go over, let's see here. I'm going to show you some of these specifically. Let's go with distinctive. I'm going to show you the information in the actual Google My Business, what it should look like, right? So your information in your Google My Business, you're definitely going to have fingerprinting service here. So you can add another category. You have to think about this very, very carefully though, because if you want your business to be primarily loan signing or notary services, then for your primary category, put notary, right? Add another category and put fingerprinting, right? But if you're going to be doing this just for your fingerprinting business, primary category should be fingerprinting. Do not put more than 3 services in that little section. So 1 primary,
Dan, we have some,
2 secondaries, that one to pick when people are searching for it.
we had a little delay.
Oh, you there?
Yeah, it seems like we're having a little interference for some reason.
Oh, okay, hold on. I'll stop myself for a second. Okay, I'll just wait until I get back up around. Let's see. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just everybody, if you can hear my audio, if everything's all good, throw like a quick 1 in the chat, just so that I know. Just like literally the number 1, just so I know on my end. Okay, all right, good. Okay, very good, very good. Gotcha. All right, I'll back up a little bit. So for your Google My Business service, right, you should really have no more than 3. You can put more than 3. Don't get me wrong. It depends on what the services are. So if they're like kind of niche services, you can do more than 3. However, your primary category is what you're going to want to advertise the most. And then 2 secondary categories. And I would leave it at that. I would not put any more, right? Less is more when it comes to Google, when it comes to your website, when it comes to Google My Business. Less really is more, because you do not want to confuse people. And you don't want to have that algorithm go, how many services are we going to promote, et cetera, et cetera. Service areas. This is super important. So your Google My Business is going to rank in the search engine of Google for your primary service plus wherever you are physically located, right? So this is Distinctive Biometrics Fingerprinting. They're a fingerprinting service in Navarre, Florida, right? So if we type in fingerprinting Navarre, Florida, you're going to see that they pop up number 1, right? They're above the UPS store, which is in Navarre, which has 70 reviews. And I'll tell you why they're above the UPS store, because the UPS store primarily does shipping services. That's going to be their primary category. Their secondary category is going to be a fingerprinting service. Distinctive, Their primary service is fingerprinting. Their secondary service is whatever else they do. And they are located in Navarre, Florida, right? So as you can see, shipping and mailing service, I guarantee you the secondary service is fingerprinting, which is why Distinctive Biometrics fingerprinting shows up #1 as the trusted result over the UPS store. And everybody knows that you can go to UPS stores, you can get fingerprinted, very popular all over the United States. This is very important because he's even above Prestige Live Scan, which has 100 reviews at a whopping 4.9 stars, right? But if you see, they live in Niceville, Florida. So they're not in Navarre, right? So this is going to be very town specific. Now, quick cheat code: if you ever have a lot of money, your business is doing well, you can quite honestly open up a Google My Business for fingerprinting in every single city in your state, and it be a virtual address, right? So it doesn't have to be a physical address. It could be a virtual address. Open up all over the state, and you can look like you have a multi-million-dollar company, get phone calls from everybody, have a whole bunch of mobile technicians all over the place as subcontractors, and call people and have other people do the stuff. This can really get crazy, right? The Google My Business is so powerful. It really, really is. So your service areas, you don't want to go over 3, right? Because what's going to happen is if your profile is strong enough, right? Sometimes when people type in fingerprinting Pensacola, which this one's probably not going to be strong enough, but we'll do it over the screen real quick. Pensacola, Florida. Yeah, they're not going to show up, not yet, right? But once this becomes more powerful, they may show up in like this 3rd result right here. So that's why your service area is going to be important. But again, don't spam this. Don't do over 3. We have a service area doubled as where they're actually located. That's fine to do because, again, we didn't want to spam this. Then your hours, special hours, phone number. This is all easy stuff. Your website, obviously, your appointment link. Products, you don't really have to add because you're not selling physical products. Services, this is super important, right? Services are so important because people are going to look at these things, right? And they're going to search for these things. And somebody might type in FINRA fingerprinting near me, right? And if they do, they're going to get your Google My Business. So services, you can really spam to, whatever you want to do. Or I shouldn't say spam, but you can add as many services as you actually perform, right? Fingerprinting service is going to be primary. All of these services are going to be secondary. You can do all of these, right? Unless anything says electronic, but on-site. This is what we went over in here, which I'm going to scroll back up to this. What can you advertise? Inc., FBI, FINRA, out-of-state, NFA, SF87. That's what you're going to want to add in these other services right here. In case anybody is looking for them, in case anybody stumbles upon your Google My Business and sees that you offer it, they're going to know right away, oh, that's what they do. I'm calling them. They're the trusted result in my area. I'm going to call them. I'm going to give them my money to perform this service, right? So that's going to be what is going to make you, what's going to generate the most results for your Google My Business. Everything else is kind of just going to fall into place, right? But this is what you need to focus on immediately right away. Make sure that's squared away and you'll be fine with your advertising. Now to show a website, we'll show you BioCity Operations. We'll click on their website. I already have it open here. It's going to go to a tab. Now we actually just revamped this entire website. I will see if it's up. BioCityFingerprinting.com. This is pretty exciting because I don't know if this went live yet, but it would be exciting if it did go live, but we will wait for that. And I will also show you printscan.com. And then another partner, Sentinel Prints. I'll wait for all of that to load. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so this is going to be the finalized site right here. So your website, right? I'll talk about this for a second because a website is not easy to build sometimes. One like this took us a lot of time to build it. As you can see, we have a lot of results. We have a cool little map finder right here. If I type in Houston, you can get some results here, etc. See their physical offices. So this is going to take some time to develop. If you're not a website developer, if you don't have 20 or 30 hours to kind of dive deep into WordPress web and things like that, you can get a contractor to do this. Our company does do it. You can reach out to me. I'll give you a link at the end. I don't want to, I don't want to throw a throw a plug in just yet, but this is going to be super important because The two things that are going to matter on your website are explaining what you do in a very non-marketing type language. So very just like if you were having a conversation with somebody, right? Your written words on the website, or AKA your copy on the website, is going to be what's most important. That's what's going to sell the person into the service. And then making it easy for them to reach out to you is going to be the second portion of it. So as you can see here in the menu, we have what we do, background checks, fingerprinting, fingerprint cards, mobile fingerprinting. A lot of this is redundant, right? Background checks, FBI, apostle employment screening, fingerprinting, ink fingerprinting. You can use ink fingerprinting for an FBI background check. A lot of these pages are kind of redundant, but you want to give all of these options available to the person on this website so that they see, oh, I need ink fingerprinting, and I need ink fingerprinting for an FBI background check. Oh, okay, perfect. I know that they do both of those, right? So if you just had what we do, fingerprinting, right? Okay, that's great. What exactly do you do? So you should kind of dive deep and kind of work on like the pyramid model. So what you do at the base is fingerprinting, but what do you do in regards to fingerprinting, as a service, as like a sub-service? So you do FBI fingerprinting, you do FINRA fingerprinting, you do that stuff. You need to display it on your website so that people know, right? It's just common 101 website building. Now, on your website pages, it's going to follow a common theme. And I won't harp too much on this because web design really is a thing that you have to spend a lot of time in. I could do a whole other class on it, but I'm going to give you what generates 80% of the results right now. Explain what it is that you do in a service and add a button to either have more information. So if they need more information, they can click read more, it goes to that page, and then add a button or add what's called a call to action. So make an appointment right here. That's a call to action. If we scroll down, make an appointment, call to action, right? Learn more if they need to have more information on the service. Down here, need to know pricing. Sometimes you put pricing up, something not totally relevant. You don't have to do this, but another call to action right at the bottom here. So the two biggest things that are going to generate results inside a website, this goes for any page where you're advertising your services, are the two things. Explain to them what the service is and what you do, and give them a call to action. That is it, right? Do not complicate it. Do not talk about, we are a fingerprinting expert business for X amount of years. Not to insult anybody, but the customer does not care. The only thing they care about is what service do you offer, how do you offer it, and how do they make an appointment. That's it. So I could show you a bunch of websites. Feel free to look these up on your own time. Printscan.com, Sentinel Prints, Bayou City Fingerprinting, Arizona Fingerprints and more. This is going to be another one. You can look these up on your own time. Click through the websites. If you're building your own website, feel free to look at these pages and kind of not steal the information, but use it, reword it. If you're building out a website, go ahead. You have our full clearance. You're never going to get a cease and desist from Printscan. Don't worry about that. Just please don't copy it word for word, but use it as inspiration. These websites generate thousands of dollars per month with appointments. So don't fix what's not broken. Look at these websites for any type of guidance when you're building your own. And that's what's going to set you apart from the crowd, is having an optimized Google My Business and an optimized website. Now, I know I spent a little bit more time on that, but it's just super, super important, because these are the things that's actually going to generate revenue. It's going to generate money. This is what you need to focus on in order to integrate this into your notary business and start making money off of this other service. Now, I want to get to Q&A because I'm sure we have a lot of questions. Throw them in the chat because I'm going to scroll up and answer all of them. So I'm going to start from the top, scrolling down. Oh, where to find the FINRA cards. Yes, I'm going to put that in the link right after this. I won't forget that. Don't worry. Better title for you to have in this position: mobile fingerprinting tech, professionals. It's really going to be up to you for the title of what you want to put yourself. I would just put fingerprinting technician. Some people think when you put fingerprinting expert, you're like, you're in like CSI, or you're doing this for like the criminally or for the police department, or you're like lifting prints off a crime scene. Definitely a fingerprinting technician for sure. And then if you ever do buy a live scan device, you could do a live scan technician as well. Those two work hand in hand. But fingerprinting technician is what we see most people doing. That seems to be what a lot of customers and clients ask for as well. So very good question. Yes. Okay. Yeah. You said that at the bottom too as well. Thank you. All right. Let's see what other we have. Yep. Backstory for PrintScan. Super cool. Really, really cool. Loved what Tom did. Tom hustled. I'll tell you right now, Tom worked midnights and he was doing this during the day. So the poor man really sacrificed himself for his business. And it is necessary to do that sometimes. You got to burn the wick at both ends to end up, getting the cheese at the end. But it definitely did it for his business, and he's reaping the rewards now. No certifications needed to do live scan fingerprinting or ink fingerprinting at all. Zero, none. You do not need certifications in all 50 states, federally or the rest of the world. Zero. Anybody can pick up and do this. It's crazy. It seems like that's fake information, but it really is not. It's really true. Anybody can do it. It's quite absurd. To be honest, I think it shouldn't be that way, just for liability reasons, but it is. So it's very easy for people to get into as long as they have the knowledge, right? How long does the process take to be able to start offering fingerprinting? Really not that long. Take these classes, look at the replays, buy the materials, and start tomorrow. It's really it. Just take action. Just take action. Don't go on YouTube and watch all my videos in one sitting. Go ahead, hit the like button, whatever you want to do, but don't get caught in the wheel of the information wheel, is what I like to call it, right? Information. We're always on social media. Information. Just do something about it. Take action. I'm telling you, there's no set rules with fingerprinting. If you want to do something, just make it up. If you call your state government and they're like, oh, well, we don't do that. I guess you can do it. I guess you can't. I don't know. They're not going to give you an answer. I'm telling you right now, because nobody knows what's going on with fingerprinting. If you think of an idea, just do it, right? Do it until you realize you're either doing it wrong, you can't do it, or you correct yourselves and do it better. But just take action. Honestly, just take action. But the process to start is super, super easy. Just gain the knowledge, watch these courses, get the materials, and go and start. I'm telling you, if you do that and you don't look back, you will make a lot of money from this. Okay. So for live scan, Kara, I'm going to speak about live scan after I finish with these questions, because a lot of people are going to be interested in live scan, and I'm going to go over it fully in detail. So I will answer your question just at the bottom when I answer everybody else's. So I am going to actually open up a tab and just type in live scan so that I don't forget. Yes, Identigo owns a state contract for a lot of states in the US. They do background checks for the state purposes only. So they're not really going to be your competition because they're not mobile and they really don't deal with the commercial fingerprinting services. They don't do a lot of ink. They do a lot of ink card fingerprinting. Don't get me wrong, but they primarily do electronic state background checks. So they're kind of your competition, but kind of not. So I wouldn't worry about them too much. Carve out your own niche for mobile fingerprinting, ink fingerprinting, whatever you're going to be doing. Identigo, don't worry too much about it. If you have an Identigo location close to you, that means that a lot of people need fingerprinting. So it's actually a good sign, but don't worry about them. They're actually the biggest fingerprinting company in the world right now for services. PrintScan is trying to overtake them, even though we're kind of partnering with them as well. It gets complicated, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about them too much. Carve out your own niche. You'll do just fine. Yes. So the virtual address in each state. Oh, I think somebody was off mute. The virtual address in each state. So this is more of like a cheat code when you're more established, right? A virtual address you can get, and you can apply Google My Business to it. So Regis is a good company to do this with. Get a virtual mailing address, set up a Google My Business there, get the Google postcard there, get the verification code, verify it, right? However, on that Google My Business, you need to advertise mobile fingerprinting only. And the reason you have to do this is because otherwise people are going to try and show up to the office, which is not going to be good, because then people are going to be upset, rightfully so, because they think they're going to get there to get fingerprinted. So you can only advertise mobile fingerprinting. You can advertise the other services too, but when people call you, don't say that you can visit me at the office, because you technically don't have an office. You can say, listen, we strictly do mobile fingerprinting. Where are you? We'll send you a quote, how long you live away. We'll send a technician out to you, etc. A lot of this is going to be when you're starting out, a lot of this is kind of going to be faking it till you're making it. Sometimes when you answer the phone, you do have to sound like, you have a bigger company than you really are. And that's okay. That's totally okay. I would say don't be afraid of doing that, because people are going to see you as an expert. They're going to see you as a big company, even if you're not, even if it's a one-person operation, right, to start. So the virtual address in each of those states, I wouldn't do that just yet until you're, gaining at least like 3 to 4,000 a month in appointments. That's when I would start thinking about that. But in order to take a look at that, look at Bayou City operations. They kind of do that model a little bit. But it is something to think about. I also have a video on YouTube that goes over that. If you look up one of the videos, it's called like the virtual office hack. You can look at that. It's like a whole 20-minute explanation on that. So that's going to be a great resource if you want to look at that on the YouTube channel. If you do some days in the office and other days mobile. So that's going to depend on what you tell the people when they email you and when you answer the phone, which days are in the office and which days are mobile. What I would say to do is every day that you count your business as closed, it's going to affect the amount of phone calls you get negatively, right? So if you're going to be in the office on Wednesday, but accepting mobiles Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, on your Google My Business, I would have you open all of those days, right? I would not mark the days that you're mobile as closed, because people are going to look up fingerprinting in the area. They're going to see that Google My Business is closed that day, and they're not going to call you, right? So keep them open for business. People are going to call you. They're going to email you. Take their inquiries that way, and then just verify and say, hey, listen, we're in the office on Monday. All the other days we're mobile, and you'll be able to figure something out. How many print scan partners are allowed per market? It's kind of up for debate. Monica, I know you did say that there's somebody in Murfreesboro. It is up for debate depending on population. So depending on population, I'm going to say in Tennessee, we could probably have, I'm just going to use Nashville as an example. Nashville, we could probably have upwards to 2 to 3 partners, depending on how far spread out they are, right? And we do that as a case-by-case basis, because every state and every local market is different. Florida, I can tell you right now, you can open up a fingerprinting business on almost every block and still make a decent amount of money, especially in Miami. In Miami, there almost is a fingerprinting business every single block. Other states are going to be different. Definitely do the competitor research near you. Go on the PrintScan website and see if there's a partner near you already. That doesn't totally count you out. We can sign up multiple partners in the area. It's just we have to do it on a case-by-case basis. But typically, if you have a population base in your county of more, in your total county, or in just a 40 or 50 mile radius, more than 500,000 people as a market cap, we're going to be able to put at least 2 partners in there. So 500,000 within a 50-mile radius, or your closest city that you're going to be servicing, wherever you're comfortable with driving to. 500,000 people, will be able to fit about 2 partners in there. Anything more than 2, and they'll start competing with each other, and we really don't want to do that. But it's a very good question. So Retta, Virginia is a closed state. However, these services that we're talking about have nothing to do with it being a closed or open state. You can offer these in every single state. Closed and open state just means whether or not you're able to do state background checks without having a state contract. So if you're in a closed state, which almost every state is, except for Florida, if you're in a closed state, that means that there's a company that is specifically hired by that state to perform the state background checks on an electronic fingerprinting machine, aka a live scan machine, right? So those appointments, honestly, you really don't even want those appointments, because they're $20. They're people that are coming in and out, and that's not going to be what you're carving your niche out to be. You're carving your niche out to be mobile fingerprinting for the commercial fingerprinting services, the commercial background checks, the FINRAs, the FBIs, the ink cards, out of state, NFA, SF87. That has nothing to do, that does not affect whether or not you live in a closed or open state. So PrintScan partners are available in both closed, open states, all over the world, to be honest. Certain insurance coverage to protect yourself. So just, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. But you can get away with no insurance. You can, don't get me wrong. It's a smart move to get general liability. If you have an LLC, you kind of have it already. You're kind of protected already. But certain insurance, no, you really don't need it because you're not performing such a physical service. Unless you break somebody's hand, please be careful when you're fingerprinting people. I don't see anybody breaking anybody's hand. I've never really seen that before. But certain insurance you can, not totally necessary, but you can absolutely do it. General liability or operate under an LLC. Separate website just for fingerprinting, yes and no. You can do that. You can make a separate website for fingerprinting if you want. If not, you could just add the fingerprinting service to your website that you already have operational. You could do either or, it does not matter. But when you build the Google My Business for fingerprinting, if you're doing a separate Google My Business, make sure the link that you put for the website points to that fingerprinting page, not just the home page, because otherwise people are going to be confused, right? Very good question. List of supplies needed to start. Supplies needed to start: fingerprint cards, a card holder, and ink. All available on Amazon. Super easy to do. The software Prince can offer child ID. It used to, it does not anymore because it really wasn't that popular. It was kind of a niche service. It does not at the moment. It might be something that we branch out into the future, but it's a little bit away from that. But a good question, child identification fingerprinting. Negative reviews on a Google My Business. Yep, not always there, running late. Totally happens. That's a way to carve out the market and gain more, gain more of the customers. What city in Florida would you recommend opening an office? This is a great question, Monica. Davie, Florida, Coral Springs. No, I'm not sorry, not Coral Springs. Coral Gables, Davie, Florida. I'm going to pull up the Florida map real quick because I can tell you right off the bat right now what areas. So Davie, Florida, Coral Gables, those are totally wide open right now. Huge opportunity in Coral Gables. Coral Gables is going to be down here by Miami. Davie, Florida is going to be more towards the north of Florida, if I believe. And I'm sorry, I've actually never even been to Florida, so I apologize. My geography is terrible, but
maybe we can get you to come down. We're planning a beach retreat, and so
nice.
Whatever city you tell me, I'm going to use that as a city I go and scope out because I'm not opposed to opening up an office out of state.
There's a Regis location in both Davie, Florida, and Coral Gables. We actually have a Google My Business active in Coral Gables, but the person ended up going a different direction. They opened up another business, so that one can actually be overtaken by anybody. So if you do that, Coral Gables is kind of already set up. Davie, Florida, those two, huge opportunity in both of those. Coral Gables more than Davie, Florida, I would say. Okay, how do you become a PrintScan partner? I will talk about that at the end. I will put my shameless plug in there and you'll be able to schedule a call with us. Can you explain FDLE website states no hard copy fingerprinting? The FDLE, yes, very good question. So the FDLE is the state of Florida fingerprinting service, right? Now, for anybody living in Florida, this is going to be very important because Florida is the only open state in the U.S. Technically, it's not the only open state. It gets a little bit more complicated, but just to make it simple, it's the only open state in the U.S., right? So the FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, is the state governing body that takes in all of their electronic background checks, right? Electronic. Now, they do not offer ink card fingerprinting because they have this electronic system set up so easily, right? However, you can do ink fingerprinting for the other services. So that's what you're going to carve out your niche to be. So live scan services in Florida are usually just going to be generally for Florida background checks, which PrintScan is a channeler for. PrintScan does have a contract, not a contract, have a relationship with the FDLE. We submit right to them. So if you are interested in opening up in Florida, PrintScan is definitely going to be the way to go. I'm biased, but I work for them, great company. So definitely I'm going to send that link out in the chat in 2 seconds. but the FDLE is for state purposes only. You could still offer the ink card fingerprinting services for the commercial services that we went over before in the PDF. So I'm actually going to show you over the screen what it looks like for the link in order to get more information about getting into live scan services. Because I know, Monica, you said you got to fire up the grill. So, and we're getting close to 1:30. And there was a lot of good information. I kind of just gave you a brain dump out of this. So definitely do a replay, take notes, whatever you need to do. Reach out to me as well. I'll put my information down here as well. But printscanmembers.com. This is our website where we take in all partner inquiries. We can't do it on printscan.com because printscan.com gets way too many people visiting that site on a daily basis. Printscanmembers.com is where we go typically off of just the partner network. So you can visit this link. You can see a few results here, a few testimonials from people down at the bottom. However, when you go to click Get Access, you're going to be typing in your first name, email, and phone number. What's going to happen directly after that is you're going to get a text message. You're going to get an email. The first text is automated. Every text after that is totally from either me or a staff member. Today is Sunday, so I believe we have somebody on staff Sunday until 2 p.m. So it may be a little bit until we get back to you if you enter your information in right this second. I might even pop into my phone and shoot you a text real quick, but when you get access, first name, email, phone number, this is going to be specifically for live scan services. So if you're offering ink fingerprinting, use these resources, use the YouTube channel, use everything that you need, all the free information that we have out there to start this business, right? If you're interested in live scan services, which you can do in both closed and open states, you absolutely 110% can do it. You can build a very big, viable business in any state, in any part of the world, believe it or not. This is the URL that you're going to want to visit, printscanmembers.com/YouTube opt-in. Fill out your information. Then after you fill out your information, you're going to get to this portion. And if you want to go even further and you want a consultation with one of our staff members, you may get me. I do have some time set aside on the calendar. There's me right here in the home office with the video. But you can book a call with us below to get like a local consultation. We're going to go over the screen, go over your competitors, see if live scan services would actually work out for you, and just, let you know our professional opinion. We have a few staff members on hand that answer these calls. So that is going to be a very valuable opportunity. And this call specifically, if you book this, we will ask you to make a decision at the end of it. So don't feel pressure, but just do be prepared that we are going to ask if you are ready to move forward. So, but if not, we totally give free information as well. That's totally okay. But other than that, I don't see any more questions in the chat. That is my shameless plug to get into live scan services. Other than that, ink fingerprinting, totally important. I really, really, really want to reiterate broker check for FINRA, as well as FINRA order supplies. Right here, this is the link to order FINRA cards. Excuse me. This is the link right here to order FINRA cards. If you need to, you fill out the directions right here, finra.org. You can, if you're going to be looking to do FINRA fingerprinting, you can order the cards from here as well. I did not forget that question. I know there's a question in the chat, but other than that, it is 1:30 on the dot. Monica, I know you have a fun Sunday to get to, but I hope that this is a lot of good information. The marketing services particularly, that's going to be super important. If anybody is interested in marketing services, use this link as well, and just explain that you're interested in marketing, and we'll help you out with that as well. But other than that, that's all I got. And I really appreciate everybody coming through today.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you, everybody, for giving us time on Sunday afternoon. FYI, start looking at accommodations in Coral Gables, Florida. If you want to be a part of the networking beach event that we are kind of talking about in the group, I'm on the Biltmore's website. They have a nice spa. So I'm going to go and kind of scope it out and see what's what, but definitely get on the ball, take action, like Dan said. And you guys have a great Sunday. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Thank you very much.